Hello and welcome. My name is Redboot, and this is a playthrough of Arkham Horror, the living card game, published by Fantasy Flight Games, and we are on the Night of the Zealot, which is the campaign that is provided in the initial box set, and specifically on the Gathering, which is the first of the three scenarios in that campaign. And we're ready to start another Mythos phase, but before we do, I want to correct a couple of pretty significant errors that I made in the last game, in the last video, with respect to Roland, which I would say was very significant and did not play in my favor at all. So I want to fix that. And then one that involved Rex Murphy that was a little bit less significant, but I still want to fix it because I didn't quite play it right. But let's move to the Roland mistake first. You see, when I attacked the Flesh Eater, which has 4 health, I attacked it twice with Roland's 38 special. Roland's 38 special not only gave me +3 to hit, which was instrumental in hitting the Flesh Eater, but it also gives me a +1 damage. So I would have done 2 damage to the Flesh Eater 2 times, because I attacked it 2 times, which would have been 4 damage, and that would have been enough to kill it. That's pretty significant in a number of ways. One is that Roland would not have taken damage in the enemy phase. 2 is that I used the 38 special, and I certainly don't want to waste it because I think it would have come in handy later in the game. So I certainly want to take advantage of its +1 damage. Third, Roland's third action was an evade, which would have been unnecessary and could have availed himself of a different action. So I definitely want to correct that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the 2 additional damage to the Flesh Eater, and that makes 4, and therefore he would have died. So we'll move him over to the discard pile for the encounter deck. Now, secondly, Roland would not have taken 1 physical damage and 2 horror damage on that last turn, which also is very significant because he's going to have to get into a nasty fight later. So I'm going to take those off, and he's back to being undamaged. And third, Roland would have had a third action. He took the evade action as his third action, which he would not have taken, obviously, because the monster would have been dead. And I want to take advantage of his third action to try to pick up that final clue so that he can get out of the attic and get down to the cellar if necessary and help out Rex, who is in not very good straits at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and make that draw. He's got a 3 intellect, and there is a 1 shroud value in the attic, so he needs a -2 or better. So let's just quickly run through that, and he draws a 0. So he is successful in picking up that clue, and I'll put that over in his play area, and that is all the clues on the board, and that gives us an extra victory point, which is the main reason that I wanted to do that. So that would have been Roland's third action. So I think that fixes that problem. Obviously fixes it in my favor, but that would have been the way things that would have gone, and I'm already digging myself a bit of a hole because I've drawn the 2 nasty monsters, and I've drawn cover up for Roland, which reminds me that I need to put 3 clues on Roland's cover up, which was drawn later. So I'm going to have to deal with that at some point, or take mental trauma going into the second scenario, the Midnight Masks. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now, Rex's error was a little bit less significant, but still significant. When he attacked the Icy Ghoul with the, I can't remember now which card, I guess it was I've Got a Plan, and did 3 damage, that was great. He had a +3, so he needed a -3 or better in order to succeed. The problem is that I forgot Rex's curse, and therefore he has to roll again. So on a -4 or the tentacle token, he's going to fail and will not do that 3 damage. So I'll go ahead and draw that now. And he just barely succeeds with a -3. And gets just what he needs, a 4. So no harm, no foul on that one, but I did want to correct that. It's hard to remember Rex's curse that you need to draw a second token every time you get a success on a skill check, and an attack is a combat skill check. Okay, with that we are ready to move to the next Mythos phase, and so we will put a Doom on the agenda. We are up to 3 out of the 7 that we need, and therefore we do not advance the agenda, but instead move right to the encounter deck. So Roland will draw first as the lead investigator, and he draws Obscuring Fog. What a great time to draw Obscuring Fog. This puts an Obscuring Fog on his location and increases its shroud by 2, but he's already picked up all the clues at that location, and therefore, and will be leaving soon, and therefore the Obscuring Fog is really of no significance. So I'm going to take Obscuring Fog anyway, and I'm going to put that up in the attic just to show that it's up there. And we'll draw a card for Rex. And it is Crypt Chill. I didn't think the Crypt Chill made its way into this scenario, but I guess I was wrong. I thought it was just in the second scenario. So he does pick up Crypt Chill, which means he needs to take a 4 willpower test. He's got a 3 willpower. And if he fails, you have to discard an asset that you control. Now, that's not a big deal because he's done with clues at this point, and the assets that he controls are clue assets. So I'm not going to try to maximize my success possibility on this on this skill test. I'm just going to take a +1 test, and so therefore he needs a +1 or better, and I get a +1. So I'm getting some luck on, at least on his skill tests. So he does not lose either of his assets, and Crypt Chill goes into the discard pile. So that was a bit of luck, although not really all that significant because, again, his assets weren't really all that important for what is coming. So that is the Mythos phase, and now we are ready to move to the Investigator phase. Now, I had to give a little bit of a think about this because one thing that would be nice to do would be for Roland to take advantage of this reprieve from monsters to move down to the hallway, get the machete, and get physical training into play so that he can prepare himself for the final battle. The problem with that is that Rex Morgan is stuck in the cellar with the Icy Ghoul with really no means to either evade it or fight it. And I'm worried that he's going to end up taking 2 damage and 1 horror, which he really can't afford to take. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to play a little bit of a sacrifice move here. So Roland has 3 actions. For his first action, he's going to move to the hallway. For his second action, he's going to move to the cellar. And for his third action, he's going to not evade, but he's going to... Well, now, should he fight the Icy Ghoul? I was going to engage the Icy Ghoul and pull it away from Rex. But another possibility is to actually fight the Icy Ghoul, use maybe Overpower to get an advantage on the skill test and another card, and the downside of that, of course, is that since it's not engaged, if he misses, he will hit Rex Murphy. The upside of it, though, is that he won't take any damage in the ensuing enemy phase, although he can take some damage right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fight him. And I'm going to use, he's got a 4 against 3, which is a -1. And I'm going to commit Overpower to the effort, which will give him a +3 So he will need a -3 or better in order to succeed in this attack. Of course, if he fails, he hits Rex Murphy instead. But let's take a chance. Well, we took a chance and we got a -4. So not only does he miss, but unfortunately he hits Rex Murphy. Fortunately, it's only for 1 damage because he didn't use a special weapon or anything. So Rex Murphy actually goes from 3 to 4 damage out of the 6 that he is able to do. So that did not work out that well, and that's one of the risks that you take. In retrospect, I guess I should have engaged him. But anyway, I didn't, and we are now going to move to Rex Murphy. Now, Rex Murphy is in a bit of a bind because he's really, as I mentioned, got no means to defeat the Icy Ghoul. He's got a 2 attack against 3. Now, the one, I guess, upside here is that with Roland having moved in, Roland could help him potentially with an attack, but he'd have to give up Machete, Physical Training, or Vicious Blow, which I'm not really inclined to do. The other thing that Rex could try to do is evade the monster, but the monster has a 4 evade value versus his 3 evade. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to attempt to evade the monster. And I'll probably do this, I'll probably give it 3 tries. I've really worked myself into a bit of a pickle here. He does have Research Librarian, which I was going to use to try to pull out the medical texts, if in fact they're in my deck. But I think I'll use it for this this first skill check. So I need a +1. I will commit Research Librarian to the first of these, so I need a 0 or better in order to be successful in evading. And let's see if we get lucky. And we did. We got an Elder Sign. So according to Rex's card, Elder Sign is +2, but we can instead choose to fail and draw 3 cards. But we're not going to do that. We definitely needed to evade this monster. So that means that we're going to move the monster out of his threat area and into the cellar and exhaust it by turning it on its side. So he has 2 actions left, and let's see what we're going to do with those. Well, I think the first thing he's going to do is just draw a card, and let's see if it's something we can use. So this is his second action, and he's going to draw a baseball bat, which at this point in the game might come in handy. You get +2 for the attack, and the attack deals 1 damage. If a skull or a tentacle sign is revealed, discard the baseball bat. That is to say that it breaks the bat. But you still get +2 for the attack. So I think as his second action, or his third action rather, he's going to move the baseball bat up into his play area. He's going to have to discard the magnifying glass in order to do that because the baseball bat is a 2-handed weapon, and the magnifying glass takes up a hand, but we're done investigating, so I don't think that's a big deal. Baseball bat moves into that slot, and we'll put 2 resources into the resource pool. And of course, just as I was editing this and looking at this clip, I realized, unfortunately, Rex's curse requires him to draw again. So actually, after all of that, I may not have been successful. I need a +1 or a 0. I got a -1. So I actually failed. So we're going to put baseball bat back on the top of the deck. We're going to put magnifying glass back in play. We're going to take the Icy Ghoul and put him back because we failed. Now, the one sort of good thing about that is now that we have reversed a success with Rex's curse, we can actually shuffle Rex's curse back into the deck. So that's a little bit of silver lining to this cloud. And let me just give the deck a quick shuffle with Rex's curse in there. So he is still engaged with the Icy Ghoul. And so we are going to attempt 2 more evasions. We need +1s for both. This is really when we needed the Elder Sign. We need the Elder Sign of the +1. We got a -1. And for his 3rd attempt, phew, we got a +1. Okay, so we do evade the Icy Ghoul, exhaust him in the cellar, and that's very good because in the enemy phase, Rex would have been wiped out actually by his 5th and 6th damage. So that was a bit of luck there that we had. So that is the end of the investigator phase, and now we move to the enemy phase. But I'll pan over here. The enemy is exhausted in the cellar, so the enemy does nothing, and he will reanimate, if you will, and unexhaust during the upkeep phase. But in the meantime, we're free and clear, and in fact, well, we're not really, because it is time now for the upkeep phase. So the first thing we do is we unexhaust the Icy Ghoul, and he will engage with... He doesn't have a prey, so he can engage with either Roland or Rex. We can decide, and obviously I'm going to engage him with Roland, so he moves over to Roland and kind of takes the heat off of Rex. So that's also a good thing. Now we draw cards. Okay, so Roland will draw first, and he draws Art Student. Not a very helpful card at this point in the game. Enables us to discover clues at our location. Of course, we have no clues left to discover. In addition to that, Roland gets a resource, so we'll put that onto Roland. He has now 4 resources. Rex, who is a little bit card depleted, so he could really use this one. We'll see what it is. Of course, it is his 2nd weakness, Amnesia. And it says choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand. Well, we have Emergency Cash and we have Inquiring Mind. Inquiring Mind is really useless at this point because there are no clues on the board, so I wouldn't mind that being the one that we discard. So let me sort of shuffle these up. Those of you who are watching can probably figure out which is which. So the card we are going to discard is the one on the top, and it is in fact Inquiring Mind. So we keep Emergency Cash, and that was not so bad for drawing his weakness, and we put the weakness back into the discard pile. And of course, he takes a resource, so he moves from 3 resources, and just like Roland, has 4 resources now, and we're ready to move to the next Mythos phase. So let's go ahead and put a Doom on the agenda. If I can find one in here. There we go. 4 out of the 7, and let's go to the map and see what's going on for the next investigator phase. Okay, here we are getting ready for the next investigator phase. We can see that Roland and Rex are both in the basement now, in the cellar. The Icy Ghoul is also in the cellar and is engaged with Roland. And so I think the first thing we need to do is get Roland to tackle the Icy Ghoul. It needs 1 more damage in order to die, and then we can maybe start doing some of the other things that we've been meaning to do in terms of getting the machete, physical training, and other things in play. So the first thing that Roland is going to do is fight the Icy Ghoul. So we'll start with Roland. Now here's Roland's deck. The Icy Ghoul has a combat value of 3. Roland has a combat value of 4. I hate to use Vicious Blow, but I think I'm going to because -1 just doesn't seem like it's quite enough. So I'm going to go ahead and commit Vicious Blow, which also allows me to do a +1 damage if successful, but it really doesn't matter because there's only 1 combat left on the Icy Ghoul, but I'm using it actually really for this buff. So we need a -2 or better from the Chaos Bag in order to be successful, and we get a -1. So Roland successfully kills the Icy Ghoul, which is good for a couple reasons. One is, as I pan up to the Icy Ghoul, I already discarded the 3 damage that was on him. The Icy Ghoul has a victory point, so we put the Icy Ghoul into our victory display, and we're doing well on victory points at this point. Okay, for Roland's next action, I think I've been talking about getting machete and physical training into play, but I think that I will put first aid into play first. That is an asset card. It takes 2 resources. And I'm going to then, for my third action, I put 3, I believe, yes, 3 supplies on first aid. I should pan up, I guess, and show you that. So I'll put 3 supplies on first aid. And then for my third action, I will use 1 supply, and I will heal a damage off of Rex Murphy, who is in the same location as me, and therefore I can do that with that card. Any investigator at my location. And that is Roland's turn. So we're going to take a bit of a break on this turn, really. Roland is in the cellar, but he's hurting a little bit. Not that he can do much to heal himself with the cards that he has now. And he only has emergency cash, and he has 4 resources and nothing really to spend them on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a card draw for him. So let's draw his first card for his first action. And he gets deduction, which is a clue investigation. That's not very helpful. So we're going to draw another card for his next action. And we get hyper awareness, which enables him, well, it gives him an evade test boost. It also gives him an intellect test boost, but again, that's not really going to come in all that handy. The evade test boost might, though, so it's a reasonable card. So I'm going to draw another card for his third action. And well, these are not very good card draws. That's Flashlight, which again helps him investigate and is not really going to be very helpful. I wonder if we should trade out some of those cards and maybe help him with the fighting. But yeah, the plan always was that you stack the deck to help him with investigation and Roland takes care of the fighting. So, I don't know. Well, I'll think about it when we get to the end of this scenario, assuming we're successful in this scenario. And when we're buying cards for the next round, kind of think about what's the best way to spend them for Rex. So that is the end of the investigator phase for Rex and Roland. And we move to the enemy phase. And I won't, I'll just pan up, because as you can see, there is no monster enemy on the board, and therefore the enemy phase is moot. And we will move instead to the upkeep phase. So in the upkeep phase, we will draw a card for Roland, and we get Beat Cop, which is great. I got more stuff than I can spend resources on at this point. That's the only problem. But we do have emergency cash, so that'll help a little bit. And I do get 1 resource for the upkeep phase, so that moves him from 2 to 3. And Rex's hand, which is a little bit bigger than it used to be, but not much better than it used to be, will be supplemented by Shortcut, which is nice. It'll probably get him up to the hallway, maybe help with a willpower or an evade test. I might keep it for that, actually. So that's his 5th card. And he also gets a resource. So he moves from 4 resources to 5 resources. And that is the end of the upkeep phase. So with that, we move to the end of this video. I'm going to call it here. I think we have a couple of longer videos coming up, but I'm going to take a shorter video and a little bit of a respite and give you guys an opportunity to comment and see if I screwed anything up. I think I may have here and there, because there were a couple of things I did that, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what people say. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and even your dislikes. I appreciate particularly the comments relating to any inaccuracies in the game, because, again, I want to make sure that people who watch this video have the opportunity to have it help them play the game properly. So any comments about my gameplay would be most welcome. So thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and I will see you at the next video.